sure that many of you have brothers, or if you don't have brothers, you have someone who's very close to you, close enough you could call them a brother. Your story is a story of a relationship built over time and trials. And I too have friends who I could call brothers. A number of them are very close to me. And we went through trials and time. We bonded together very strongly. This past school year, a friend of mine came up to me and asked me if I would like to attend a camp over the summer. So I asked her about it, and she said it was a camp called Skyview Ranch, a Baptist-affiliated Christian camp. And they had all sorts of things like paintballing, swimming, normal camp activities, and four-way volleyball, and horseback riding. And horseback riding was the catalyst which allowed me to go because I love horses very much. So I came, that's how I ended up at Skyview Ranch this past summer. I went through the check-in, found out where my cabin was, who my cabin leader would be, and I was one of the first ones there. So I set my bunk up, and one by one the others started to file in. And it's that initial point of awkwardness where you don't really know anybody, you're in a different world, a different environment, different people, very similar to the same environment that we stepped into the first day of class here. And we just kind of began to share stories and learn who we were, who we are, very similar to what we're doing here. And that's how the bond of our friendship began. Now the whole camp was themed in sort of a cowboy ranch style. So our cabin name was the OK Corral, and we thought that was the cheesiest thing ever. So we wanted to change it. And one of the other guy cabins had changed their name to Power Rangers. So we figured it was okay if we changed it. So we thought about how to do that, and we came up with using the first letter in all of our names to create some new word. However, we discovered that a word composed of 90% consonants is unpronounceable. So then we had to find a new way, and we used the last letter of all of our names. And that is how we created Baywenthree, which was our cabin, Cabin Baywenthree. And the moments that we really bonded was on something called an adventure course. And the adventure course was a series of obstacles, tests, and trials in which we had to work together in order to overcome them. And this was the time where we really bonded together. We created a pact with an acronym. Positivity, that would be positive at all times, no matter the situation. Affirmation, that we would encourage one another to do our best. Communication, that we would talk and listen respectfully to one another and together. That even if it meant we had to start all over, we would do it as one. And that's how we became the brotherhood of Baywenthree. The bond was that tight. My personal closest moment with these guys was on something called the High Adventure Course. Imagine a ladder that goes 30 to 50 feet into the air. And there are wood beams spaced 5, 6, 7 feet apart. And in order to climb this, you had two climbers that would have to work together. They'd put their leg up and they'd step up to get over the next beam and then help them up to the next beam. And I am terrified of heights. And so I had sworn I would not go up this ladder. But there I was, strapped in and ready to go. So my partner and I began to climb. And very quickly, I was terrified. But my brothers were shouting for me, just, come on, Caleb, you can do it. So me and my partner began to climb until I slipped. And I was hanging upside down from one of the beams. And I was terrified. My partner was right there. He was saying, let's just do one more, Caleb. One more. And I looked at him and I told him, if you let me go, if I go one more for you, will you let me down and not encourage me to go anymore? He said, yes, just do it. And he put out his leg, and I stepped up and I got over top, and I got onto the next beam. And that day I did not go to the top. But I did make it halfway up, an obstacle which I had sworn I would not climb. This lesson of going one step farther is something that affected me this summer and will affect me for the rest of my life. Through these trials, we bonded very closely. And we learned that reaching your goal is not necessarily always important, but going one step further than you thought you could is important.